yes, our market is open. Um, it's been quite the process to get us here. I don't know if maybe Robbi, you want to jump in and tell folks about the last 6 weeks and what it took to get us to where we're at right now. But yeah, markets are running.
Yeah, that'd be great. Why don't you talk about the COVID and all the extra work that you had to do to get these up and running this year?
Oh yeah, we've been working tirelessly, I guess, the past couple months. It all started with our transforming our semi-annual conference into a virtual conference, which turned out to be really good because we had about 4 times as many people able to participate, including a lot of the rural pockets that are often not able to travel for events like that. So over the past few months, we've been watching how our neighbors in Washington and California, Minnesota, really all over the country have been adapting their markets to be safe and be able to open, because we had seen lots of markets where in states they had just shut down markets because they viewed them as just as an event, which markets are a community event, but they are also essential to local food. Provides way more food security than shipping in our food from outside.
Yeah, so about 2 months ago, Robbi and I started working closely with Department of Environmental Conservation to come up with guidelines to get farmers markets listed as essential businesses in Alaska during this pandemic. And we were successful in that. And so we began taking these examples from different states and trying to incorporate them in Alaskan style. So if you go to a market right now, like mine, all our booths are spaced farther apart so that there can be proper social distancing between our vendors and more space for customers to be able to keep that social distance as well. We have hand washing stations stationed around the markets. At our market, we're requiring face coverings, and we found that people are interested, they're coming. We've been busy. I feel like if you're gonna look at farmers markets, like Robbi was saying, it is a community event, but really it's the essential market for our local producers. If you think about Alaska leading the nation in new farmers, there was an increase of 21% in the last 7 years in Alaska. And those farmers, they're primarily growing on smaller acreage and selling direct to consumer through farmers markets or through CSAs. So without the markets opening, the agricultural world that we have going right now in Alaska wouldn't be able to sustain itself. And right now in Alaska, we produce about 3% of the food that we eat in the state. And so having markets open and operating has been the most critical thing to keeping our farmers alive. You know, I tell people all the time, if you have that picture in your head of the red barn and the family farming with the kids out there and their little tractor, that's not just an imagination, that's actually happening. And the way to support that in our state is by shopping at farmers markets. They directly impact farmers and their families. And I would contend that they specifically address the health and the security of our local communities, that those that have a vibrant farmers market in them are safer, are healthier, and they're a good thing.
Right. So for those who are just joining, this is Robbi Mixon and Brad St. Pierre from the Alaska Farmers Market Association. We're talking about the start of the year. You know, the one thing as the division, I also spent a lot of time making sure that all of agriculture in Alaska was considered critical infrastructure and working with the USDA and others on a national basis. And the one thing that I really want to assure people is that, you know, food is safe. It doesn't matter where you buy it. Go in, you can buy your merchandise. You don't have to be afraid about picking something up or buying it. That is not a vector. And I spent a lot of time doing studies to make sure the CDC guidance and all that, you know, because at first they're like, hey, can you get COVID from your food? And the answer is no, that's not where you're going to get it. And so as Brad said, you know, the important part is to wear your mask and do your things for that person-to-person contact. That's the critical vector that we're finding around. So, I really want people to know that you can go to your grocery store and buy your groceries. You can go into farmers markets. You're safe in both locations. And the one thing that I will do as the director is say, what I'm trying to see, you guys are trying to protect the public. I'm actually looking at it from the other viewpoint. I'm trying to protect your vendors, your farmers, because the one thing we don't want to see is that our people that are at the thing producing for you to pick up the disease, because that could be devastating to a small farm. So we spend a lot of hours talking and making sure that we're protecting the industry as well as the consumers. So it's a two-way street. And the one thing that's really cool about people that go to farmers market is they really care about the people they're buying from. So this is in Alaska, I think it's one of those relationships that works for both. You are absolutely right. This is critical to our economy. It's very important. I have done interviews and people go, what are we doing on food security? And I'm like, we're trying to grow and produce as much as we can in Alaska. Farmers markets, as you know, went from 2012 at $3.4 million to $4.5 million in 2017, and it's continued to grow. So with that, Robbi, can you kind of give us where the markets are and what's opening up? And then Brad, maybe we can talk about a little bit what is available at the markets now. So Robbi.
Sure. We've had a few markets opening up in the past month, including Brad's Market in Tanana Valley, and also the South Anchorage Farmers Markets and a few others. But I just wanted to share with you guys. Oh, I've been disabled, but I will tell you on our Farmers Market Association website, it's alaskafarmersmarkets.org. We have an updated market directory, so you can go to that website. You can see all of the markets, the times, the locations, the dates, and also if they accept things like SNAP, which is formerly known as food stamps, WIC benefits, all those kind of things. So our awesome market intern has been working tirelessly over the last few months to get all of these updates made so that folks know any changes that have happened due to COVID-19. And then our individual markets, they each have their own set of rules. So Brad's market is going to look different than my market in Homer. A lot of different reasons, capacity, the space, just how they function differently. So if you are going to a market, you might want to check their website just to see what sort of rules are in place. So I know at our market, we're requiring all of our vendors, staff, and volunteers to wear masks. There's a barrier between the customer and the farmer. Just like David said, we need to protect our farmers if we want to continue to eat locally. So I know a lot of different markets are managing these requirements in different ways. So it's always good to go in with extra precaution and then go from there.
Right. We'll put that website, we'll put that on our Alaska Growing and on our division website.
Awesome.
And so that should help people do that. So yeah, Brad, so you were saying something about some tulips as we were getting ready. So what's available? And then we'll go back to Robbi on that too. I see some flowers. Excellent.
Yeah, so talking about keeping farmers safe, I think there needs to be a hat out there that says "Wear a mask, save a farmer," because we need to keep those farmers coming to the markets. What's at the farmers markets are farmers and that are in your community, and the ones that are actually producing the type of food that you're looking for, from arugula to zucchini. You can find it at the farmers market. Currently at our market, you can find flowers. There were green tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers on Wednesday. There's potatoes. There's every plant start you could imagine for your garden is there.
Excellent.
There's all sorts of honey, and we also at our market have all of our amazing Alaska-made craft vendors there, pottery and woodworking and soap, and you can come and get your really fancy locally made cloth masks. We have quite a few vendors that are selling those. So there's just a broad variety of folks. I like to tell people all of your favorite vendors and more. And I think the most exciting thing for me at my market this year, we have new young farmers for their first season. You can find beef at our
Right.
market. You can find salmon at our market. It's really a one-stop shop. And for those essential things you've been going to the grocery store for, our markets are now open to fill those. And really, we've recommended to many markets, and that's a beautiful thing about our state organization, is that we were able to compile all sorts of examples from other markets and share them with all the almost 50 markets that we represent. And for instance, at our market, for the first 30 minutes, we're reserving that time for at-risk population or those over 65. So there's fewer folks, more space. You know, the beautiful thing about farmers markets is we're outside, we're in the sun, UV light everywhere. You know, the stands at markets, they're set up for 6 hours, sanitized throughout the day. And at the end of the day, they're cleaned. And by the next time you come, it's a brand new setup. So a piece of why we've done all the preparations that we've done is to provide the safest, most enjoyable shopping experience that you can have. And yeah, it's really go to your farmer's market in your local town, go to our website and see the different places that you can shop, support a farmer, buy directly from them. You know, the Division of Agriculture has had this $5 challenge. And what that is challenging Alaskans to spend $5 a week on Alaska grown products. And I challenge all of you, this summer of all summers, the most important to take your dollars and support our local economy. $1 spent locally can be spent up to 16 times in your local economy. Because if you shop at my farm, I shop at a local distributor for the bags, and I shop at the different, you know, businesses locally. So our dollars keep passing around, and it really makes a big economic impact. And if we want to have a strong local food system in Alaska, it's imperative that Alaskans show up for the farmers, because I tell you, the more the farmers sell, the more the farmers will grow. And they're at the market. You know, there's I'm not 100% sure on the number of how many farmers that our farmers market support, but it's a lot. Yeah.
Right. So a couple of things that are coming in on the comment page. Looks like they're noting that the Wasilla market is going to be opening, which is cool. And Spenard Farmers Market is opening this Saturday. That's great. And above that, I had a great question here. Sarah wrote and said, for medical reasons, I can't wear a mask. Can I still come to the farmer's market? So it sounds like, Brad, you got the early hours, and so they could contact you and make arrangements for people that have the special needs. What are your guys' thoughts?
So, you know, for folks that can't wear a mask, we have set up at our market a virtual farmers market. So if you go to tvfmarket.com, we have a place where you can pre-order and set up pickup outside of the market, or if you want to pick it up at the market, we have a tent at the front, an informational tent where we'll have vendors bring your product to the front, so you don't even have to come into the market. We are requiring masks, and we know it's a challenge for some, but we're trying to do what we can to facilitate everybody to be able to shop at the market.
Yeah, and at our market, we're offering the same sort of pre-pickup. So some of our farmers are doing pre-orders, so we have a drive-through pickup area. We're also working with our the Alaska Food Hub, which is essentially an online farmers market. So we are asking people to order there if they can't come to the market. And we've also seen people wearing actual face shields that take away some of the claustrophobia or some of the other issues that people are encountering with masks. And I will say that not every market is requiring folks to wear masks. So again, you just need to check with your individual market to see what those requirements are.
Well, it sounds like there's different available options, and that's the point that I think we all want to make, is that each farmer's market is going to support the community, and there are ways. And if there's an individual that's trying to buy at the farmer's market, the contact information's there. Call you. There's going to be a way. Some farmer, your organization is going to make sure it works. I mean, that is how farmers markets have grown, is being customer oriented. And I think what Brad said was spot on. And we're trying to leverage and support as much local production as we can, because in a lot of areas, we're going to have food distribution problems over the next 2 years. I mean, it's pretty drastic. Some of the problems in the lower 48, production, workers getting sick, meat plants being shut down, everything from not having H3 visa waiver folks helping plant the spuds in Oregon, which was an issue, to COVID being around in California, and we're worried about the fall. We know that there's going to euthanize a lot of animals this year, but that can't be run through the slaughterhouse. And so the more we can support local grown and put that in the marketplace, I mean, we've been working on that. And so I think this is an opportunity for people to realize this is just not an earthquake thing. This is just not a COVID thing. This is what we need to do for the state. We need to grow our industry. We need to support each other. And that's a really cool part. As much as COVID is horrible, and I mean, we can all talk about all the bad things. The thing that I really like is we're back to kind of the old ways of Alaskans supporting Alaska. And that's, I'm a homestead kid. I grew up on the farm. And so it is really nice when I see people on the Facebook ag pages going, hey, I got this, do you need it? And back and forth. I mean, there's been more little baby chicks imported into the state this year, and I think in the last 5 years. So people are getting that message. What I also want them to do is to, realize that you can buy at the farmer's market and prep that and put it in the freezer. So it's just not, and I literally didn't really think that was an issue, and maybe you guys can speak to it, because I had a guy going, well, the farmer's market's over and then we don't eat it. I'm like, what are you talking about? We blanch it, we freeze it, we can it. We really want to get people to realize that you can buy the stuff now and support agriculture throughout the year by buying it and storing it. So Robbi, I think you're up next, and then we'll go to Brad.
Yeah, our farmers market in the past, we've really put a focus towards the end of our season on things that you mentioned, like preserving the harvest so we can eat year round, whether that's blanching or canning or buying your whole stock of chicken or whatever from the farmers market. So we've also partnered a lot with the cooperative extension service and also our local chefs to focus on techniques, so we can easy techniques that most people with a home kitchen can do safely, so they can eat year round. And we've been talking with some of these folks about doing more Zoom type demonstrations. So, and I know that you guys have been planning that as well at the Division of Ag. So just, I think information and education on how to do these things easily is super important right now.
Right, with the university being all virtual, that was one of the reasons why you got to be the first Zoom, because we're trying to set it up, because the university said, well, sorry, we can't come into your studio. And then you asked, and I was like, we got to make this work. We got to figure out how to do this. And now we can go and talk to Bethel. We can talk up north. I mean, it's kind of cool what technology advancements we've made because we were forced to, and yes, I want to commend you on your presentations and everybody at your conference. That was fantastic. I spent about half a day listening in off and on as in my work, and a couple of times presented and talked to folks. And it was fantastic to see 80 some people online at times talking about specific subjects. And what a great chat room. I'm old school, and I'm learning to look at the chat and go, oh, who said what? And I mean, literally, I got people waving their hand going, oh, what does that mean? It's like, oh, somebody wants to talk. Okay. So we're learning all that. So Brad, any other ideas from up north on how do you prep food and how do you work it year round?
Yeah, the blanching and the freezing is great, but root cellaring is something that's happened in Alaska for a really long time. Like, for instance, right now you can come to our market and there's potatoes. Well, those weren't grown this year. They were in a root cellar all winter and they're still good. So really the bounty of the summer can easily last through the winter, as long as you have a couple places, cold places you can put things, or refrigerate your carrots through the winter. So and there's a lot of farmers that have stopped through the fall and the winter. So our market, we have a winter bazaar in December, and you can go to the winter bazaar in December and find carrots and potatoes and all sorts of, 'you know, canned things. So I think that perception of, you know, I mean, we're really interested in showing folks seasonal eating. So right now, not expecting that there's a tomato that's ripe right now, but eating
Right.
the arugula and the spicy and the lettuce and the cucumbers, the things that are starting now, and to really look forward to when that first strawberry shows up, or when that first, blueberries at the market. Soon it'll be morels. The morels are starting
Right.
around the state. So yeah, I think seasonal eating is a good starting point, and then that preservation and cellaring and really, as we go forward with the farmers growing as much as they are, there's going to be more access. And another thing I wanted to talk about farmers markets is that they're for everyone. Like Robbi was saying earlier with the SNAP programs, a lot of our markets, except the Quest card, the WIC card, the Senior Farmers Market coupons, some of our markets like mine in Fairbanks, we double your Quest benefits. If you put $20 on your Quest card, we will give you $40 to spend at our market. So
Great.
we really want to make the vegetables that are being produced locally, not just the vegetables, all the food that's being produced locally, into every Alaskan's hands. I think a successful Alaskan agriculture is having fresh Alaska grown food on every Alaskan's plate. So come to the market and get your fresh stuff.
And Brad, our market here in Homer, we double as well at every market. And we also partner with our local food pantry. So our farmers can drop off any
Great.
seconds or any things that they don't sell at the market. And a lot of our customers will often buy an extra bag to throw into that donation box as well.
Well, great. So any last things that you want to really point out? Where our half hour's about up here, but I want to give you plenty of time. Anything we've missed, we'll make sure that we get your links out there on both the division webpage and on our two Facebook pages now. What else? Did we miss anything?
I think the most, one thing Brad and I've been talking about a lot is that our markets are going to look very different than they have in the past. But at its core, our mission is still to provide our communities with locally grown food to increase food security. So if you can put your blinders on to the fact that there's probably not going to be samples, there might not be music, might not be a lot of those bells and whistles that you're used to. The core is still there, which is local food.
Yeah, and I've been seeing it in my market that's now been open for a couple of weeks, is that though it's not the same community hangout place, there's still community connection happening at a social distance there. You still get to see your friends, they're there. I've seen just amazing social distance conversations, and it really is in this time, and with all these big events, fairs, all things being canceled, farmers markets are open. There's a place to go and to connect with the community in that way. We do ask that you come and shop efficiently and take your food home and come back and do it again as often as you can. And yeah, just if you haven't been to the markets before, come check us out. If you can't come by yourself and you have to bring the family, bring them with you. And we're setting the example for everybody and all the shopping in the state. This is how it should be done. This is the safest place. This is the best place. We're still a community place. And as long as there's a couple farmers working in unison, it's a market. So yeah, I really appreciate Director Schade, you letting us have a chance to tell everybody about the markets. And yeah, look around. There's a lot of markets opening this weekend and in the next couple of weeks too.
Yeah, we'll make sure we keep that list updated and any changes. Really appreciate you guys being our first try at the Zoom. I think it's gone pretty well. And you guys look great and I appreciate it. And the feedback, let us know, because when people like it, I mean, I tell people the markets, send us on our Alaska Grown page, send us comments, because then we're going to post, hey, this is great stuff. And the more we can as a community promote ourselves, right? Word of mouth, the best advertising there is. And so we're trying to get people, I mean, that's why we're now doing the Facebook Lives. We're trying to come into the new age. This old dog here, he's got to learn new tricks, but I got a new publication specialist, John Whipple here, and he's running the technology. We apologize that we are still getting it worked out, because sometimes it it's a little rough, and we were a little late getting started. But guys, once again, Robbi Mixon and Brad St. Pierre from Alaska Farmers Markets. Thank everybody so much for watching in, and have a great day and a great week. Thanks, everybody.